Danny Boggiano is one of New York's finest, an NYPD crime scene investigator who's regularly called to the aftermath of a robbery, rape, or murder to find tiny clues that help catch a criminal. But today, Danny isn't on the job. He's out near his home in the Bronx, looking for clues that will lead him to something small and inconsequential.
This is a standard cache in a Chinese soup container.
The game Danny is playing is called GeoCaching. That's cache as in a hiding place for something, not cold hard currency. The game has become something of a modern phenomenon, combining elements of an old-fashioned hike with parts of a scavenger hunt and high-tech GPS units thrown in.
I'm down to 1/10 of a mile.
In the last year, the number of players has grown 500%. Today, more than 70,000 players in 162 countries take part in the game. Players spend their free time, like Danny, chopping off the beaten path, looking for little hidden treasures with a global positioning system receiver in hand. For Danny, it's not getting there that has driven him to search for and find more than 40 caches.
Looks like a trail to me. It's going to bring me to a new place that I probably haven't been before. And if I have been there before, it's going to bring me to a new part of the place that I haven't been, I'm sure.
The typical adventure starts off in front of a computer with an internet connection. Players log on to any number of websites, including one called geocaching.com, type in their zip code, and up pops a list of caches that other players have hidden in the area. Each page on the site contains all the information they'll need to find the treasure they're looking for. Players then turn on their handheld GPS receiver and let the technology guide them.
You certainly don't have to be a tech geek. You just have to, dive in and get your hands dirty and try it.
You may not have to be a tech geek, but sports historian Catherine J. says geocaching's rapid growth is due to the technology and the way of life associated with it.
Presenting it as a part of as a lifestyle choice. You jog, you're healthy. You geocache, you get out into nature and you're healthy and you're doing something good for yourself. And it's fun and you get all this cool modern equipment at the same time.
For most players, the $24 billion global positioning system built by the U.S. government is a key element of the fun. 24 car-sized satellites circle the globe, sending down a steady stream of data that can be picked up on the ground. GPS receivers are used in everything from rental cars to high-tech missiles. About 60,000 GPS units are sold in the United States every month at stores like Eastern Mountain Sports in Manhattan. Most people who buy the $200 units get them for hiking, skiing, or camping, according to store manager Dave Crowder.
I think everybody's curious about it. Some people just don't know how to use it quite yet, because everybody knows how to use a compass, they just don't know how to use a GPS yet.
The only drawback of GPS systems, and one of the challenges of geocaching, is that it's not that precise. The system at best can get you to within 50 yards of your target.
I'm back to 42 feet in the other direction now.
That isn't standing in the way of people flocking to the trails with GPS units in hand. Tens of thousands do it every weekend.
I've got it pointing down there.
Joan Banks has been setting out on geocaching adventures for the last 2 years, and along the trails, she's found a new hobby to share with family and friends.
I've told probably about 50, and of those 50, about 25 have come with me. I've got a couple of really young nieces and a nephew, and they, of course, like the treasure side of it. So they've come out with me.
You get to go out in the wood and try to find something that somebody's hidden. It takes you back in some ways to childhood, so you can see how it appeals to an innocence, even as it's using the very latest technology.
Today, Joan is hunting a cache in a New Jersey park near her home. Parks are one of the better places to hide caches. The wide open skies make for strong GPS signals, and the crowds of people allow cachers to blend in, an important concern since 9/11.
I did do a cache that supposedly it was hidden not far from the George Washington Bridge. And so I'm walking over the George Washington Bridge, and I must have passed 12 guardsmen carrying my GPS and trying to sort of conceal it. I got within 90 feet of the cache and realized that it wasn't worth it.
The country's increased focus on security has led to geocaching raising the ire of police. In 2001, Salt Lake City cops and the FBI were called to investigate a person hiding a geocache near a water treatment plant. Here in Harlem, a geocache is hidden inside the structure of this bridge on Riverside Drive. Cops like Danny Boggiano hope geocachers will use common sense when hiding or finding a geocache.
Don't place it at the foot of a bridge. Don't place it by a building that's important. Stick to the parks, stick to, things that are on the streets, but not quite exactly on the street.
For Danny, caching is fun because of the journey.
Let's see where it brings us.
But for Joan, it's the promise of a surprise at the end of the trail that makes geocaching worth it.
I wouldn't normally go out and just hike for the sake of hiking. That's not my thing. But, you know, if I go out for 2 or 3 hours, I know I'm going to find something. That to me is more interesting. Yep.
But I'm just looking under rocks. Oh, there it is. We found it.
Once the cache is found, it's a quick routine. Open it up, sign the logbook, and exchange a trinket.
Somebody left a little jar. Bromo Seltzer Emerson Drug Company. That's a neat little artifact of years gone by.
Soldier, little soldier man. It looks like a cable part. And another little toy.
And then pack it up and put it back in the hiding place for the next person who comes by this way. For both Danny and Joan, geocaching is something they plan on doing for a long time.
I like being outdoors, doing something athletic, but also having a little goal at the end. Because there's going to be a prize.
I really have truly enjoyed every cache I've done.
Dan Arnold, Columbia Television News.